Yo, what's going on, peeps? Welcome back to the video. I was rather overwhelmed with your response with Steven Spielberg. Spielberg. So I guess it's time to let you in on the secrets, my secrets of editing. But just before we start, if you could just take a second to, like the video and also subscribe and hit the notification bell, that would be great. I'll wait.
You know what to do. Smash the ting, yeah?
Done? Cool. All right, so to make this a little bit more interactive, let's film a video. Hey, my name is Gabriel. Should I tell you how to spell it? L-I-E-G-R-A-B. That's my name. And so I love to make videos and I want to show you how you can make videos too. So here is my computer. And once you follow these tips and make your viral video, what was the next bit? You can get better and, you can get better and make your own videos and build an audience. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. So now that we've got our obviously viral video, I should point out that the tips that I'm gonna go through today is the framework and workflow that can work for any editing software. I'm gonna go through it on Final Cut Pro, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it on Final Cut Pro. You can do it on Windows Movie Maker, you can do it on iMovie, you can do it on Premiere Pro, you can do it on DaVinci, wherever you want. Anyway, first thing that you'll want to do is to transfer your footage of your viralest ever video ever known to mankind onto a hard drive. Now, when you transfer them onto the hard drive, it's important that you label them, but I literally just put like card 1, card 2, drone, audio, thumbnails. So I've got a rough idea of what I've done, because normally card 1 will be what is A-roll and card 2 would be B-roll, which I'll explain a little bit further down the line in this video, of course. All right, cool. So now that you've sorted out all of your clips and now they're like arranged, we're gonna open up a new project. It will be different depending on what software you're using, but the consensus is the same. You need to start a new project. So I'm gonna hit Command N and we're gonna call this Viralistic Mr. Fox. And then we're gonna get the clips and we're just gonna drag them into the timeline. So this bit's the timeline because it's the line of time. Sorry. And this section here is all about setting the pace of your video. If your pace of your video, you want it to be nice and calm and chilled and that kind of vibe, then that's your vibe. But this is where you dictate that pace. Sequencing is also what happens here. So where you want to tell your story better. So sometimes you might film something and it's not always chronological. I-E-G. You need to move stuff around to make sure that the story is told well. I start every video, I go through and I'm like, okay, let me just try and get rid of any dead noise. Look on the waveform of the sound and I look at the bits where it's dipped. Where it's dipped is where there's no sound. So I'm gonna go to all of these bits. I know I was just talking nonsense there, so I'm gonna cut that. That's nothing, so. And then these 3 clips are B-roll, but we'll come to that in another point. Dead sound, dead sound, dead sound. See, first let me explain how I did that. So on Final Cut Pro, there's a couple of ways to use that blade tool, which is the cutting tool. And the first way is to just hit B. So as you see, it's a cursor now. Hit B, it hits the blade tool, and you can just click and cut where you want. Or let's go back to A. So you press A and it goes back to the cursor. You can use that to bring this marker here on the timeline. And with that clip highlighted, you can then press Command B and it will cut that clip there. If you make a mistake, you want to go back, you can press Command Z. So now we're going to go and hold down Command and click on all of these bits of dead space. and then hit delete. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in now by pressing Command and plus, and there was the bit where I was spelling my name, but I did it on purpose. I did it in the wrong order on purpose, so we would have to rejig it and create the story. Hit B for the blade tool again, and then I'm basically gonna cut around each time I say a letter of my name. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit A for the cursor again, hold down Command, and then click all of these bits here. That either. Okay, so now we've got these. L-I-E-G-R-A-B. G. So you've got G, bring that to the front. R-A. Got A, bring that second.
Later.
G-A-B. R-I-E-L. That's my name. So next up is finding the smaller gaps, the ums and the ahs and the awkward bits, and getting rid of those. So let's just go through. Hey, my name is Gabriel. Should I tell you how to spell it? So it sounds more like this. Hey, my name is Gabriel. Should I tell you how to spell it? Okay, quick tip before we move on to the next stage is that you don't always have to get the cut right. So I'm gonna hit Command B to hit the blade tool, zoom in a little bit using Command plus, and here is where the clip ends, but this is where I've cut it. If I just hover this tool over the cursor over this part of the split, I can drag that across to here. Yes, we've got our base cut. That is called the base cut. These 3 B-roll clips, which I'll come to in a second, I'm gonna move to the end, but that is your initial cut of how you want the story to go and how you want the pace to be. Now, I always go through and I balance the audio. Say the sound wave looked like that, where it's quite low, and then this one goes high. It will kind of be like those videos that you see on YouTube, which I've made the mistake as well before, so I'm not throwing shade on nobody, but it's like someone's talking really quietly like this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it goes to a montage and it's like, ah! It's like, Jesus Christ, your headphones come on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend that there's a ruler across like the ideal point. So the ideal point is probably this clip right here. And we just want to make sure that all of them are about the same level. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this. If someone does have an easier way, then let me know, because this can be time consuming sometimes. We're just gonna bring that up. So now when we listen to it, G-A-B. See, the B where I emphasize the B, like that was quite loud, but now all of them sound very similar. So there isn't a jump. Next, we move on to B-roll. So B-roll, you've got A-roll and you've got B-roll. A-roll is like your main footage. So like this with the talking headshots, it's your main footage that you're using. B-roll is like the assistance. It emphasizes the A-roll. It is meant to give the viewer a feeling of what is happening. So for example, Peter McKinnon, he loves his montage B-roll, but his montage B-roll is always like, I'm going to make coffee, so I'm going to show you a montage of me making coffee. It's not like I'm going to make coffee and then it's a drone shot of a snowy field. Do you get what I mean? It needs to emphasize your story. It can't just be random. So what I did here is I got 3 clips. One of my screen, one of the keyboard, one of my headphones, and we're basically gonna overlay these clips. To overlay a clip, you literally just drag it on top. But now we're gonna find a point of where we want it to be. Here's my computer. So now I'm gonna add this, and the same way that I trimmed the other clips, I'm gonna trim this down so it's not hanging. Okay, then on to the next point. So we've got our B-roll, we've got everything set. Now it's to run through, and when I'm editing, sometimes when I'm filming as well, I'll get ideas and I'll make notes of like, I want this to happen at this point and this type of edit. You'll develop that as you go along. But when you're editing, you might want to put in some stuff that makes it more engaging. Rule of thumb is with YouTube, something changes on the screen every 10 to 20 seconds, roughly. It could be a meme, it could be text overlay. So here, where I'm holding this thing, the massage gun, at that point, it's so random, I'm gonna leave a marker there and then double click on the marker and then leave a note saying, typed crop in. So I want to crop in really tight on just and emphasize the randomness of like, why are you holding it? And I'll do that along the whole video. After I've done all my markers, I'm gonna go to this point here, and here I wanted to do the crop in. So How to spell it. So I'm gonna cut the clip there, Command B. And then I'm gonna go to, with that highlighted, I'm gonna go to this little icon here, which is a transform tool. You've got transform, and then I'm gonna hit scale in this inspector tab. And I'm just gonna make that massive, yeah? Then I'm gonna move it this way a bit. So the emphasis is mainly the massage gun. Then I'm gonna click done, and then it looks like this. I'll tell you how to spell it. Random. G. Moves on to the next clip. And before we move on to the next point, say you wanted to add text, we would literally go to this tab up here. As a basic one, let's look at blur. So this one, if you scroll across it, you can see what it does. And that one just kind of like fades in and out. So let's say we want that as a title. Double click on it, and it comes up with this in the inspector tab, and we'll go viralistic Mr. Fox. And then here you can change to whatever font you want. Careful. Use the size to change the size. And then from this little toggle here, you can then move it around. And then you've got something. Hey, like my name is Gabriel. Should I tell you how to spell it? Now we move on to music. First of all, your music shouldn't dictate the pace of your project. Your music should emphasize the piece. So you see sometimes, I've seen some people who will get so gassed about a montage, and then you edit that to music and stuff, and then you're trying to fit everything else around that bit. But no. Secondly, is the music is meant to emphasize an emotion of some sort. You know, this is a very silly video, so I want a silly song. I actually found one earlier. I'd used Epidemic Sound, and I found this one called Fat and Muscles. So I'm just gonna drag that in. The first thing to do when you're looking with music, you want it to be an ambient sound. So my rule of thumb is I always go -32, and that normally works for most tracks. My name is Gabriel. Should I tell you how to spell it? And then the next bit is, we don't really need it for this, but sound design. What is sound design? Sound design is basically sound effects. Basically adding in some sound effects that emphasize something that's happening. So say you've got some B-roll, say there was B-roll of me tapping on the keyboard, but I didn't actually have any sound recorded of me tapping on the keyboard, or the mic was too far or whatever. I would then go into Epidemic Sound, and then I would go to sound effects, and I would look for typewriter tapping. And I would pull that in, and I would, lower the volume. So you're not just seeing the visual, but you're like, oh, that's tapping. You see a lot of people doing it with cooking videos, where it's like someone will put something in a pan and you'll add a sizzle. It's not always needed. We don't need it here. So one rule of thumb is do not force it, because then you just make the whole thing awkward. And then finally is color grading and color correcting. So color correcting is basically, because I use an A7 III in picture profile 7, and it flattens the image a little bit, so it looks a bit gray there. So the color correcting is basically reviving the colors and contrast and highlights and midtones to what it should be, before you then add your flair, which is the color grade. So the color grade, you'll see in some movies where if they want to evoke like an alien feel, they'll put like greens in the highlights. So I'm gonna probably go into that into a bit more detail in another video, but just to touch on the color correction, one, you wanna make sure that when you shoot it, that everything's balanced, which I think that is for another video as well. Video scopes, to get a feel for what's happening in the frame, and I do need to make a separate video on this because it's complicated if just looking at it. Basically, I'm gonna do what I normally do to balance everything, and then show you the before and after. Okay, cool. So now, take it off, take it, put it on, take it off, take it on. You see the difference in the colors. And now that's ready to be color graded, well, almost, because I still have to balance the skin tones. And then we can put a lookup table, a LUT, which is like an Instagram filter. We can put that on top. So I basically want to apply this to all my clips. And I don't want to go too deep in, because it would just like clutter the basics. So as the basics, that's it. So to recap, we got organize, import, sequence and flow, audio, B-roll, like the bells and whistles, including text, music, sound design, color correct, and then grade. Now that you're done with all of that, it is time to export that ish. I mean, what was your favorite part? What was the most helpful part of this video? I would like to hear in the comments down below. But anyway, guys, that's it. I hope this has been helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Actually, and leave a comment on what type of video in this realm you'd want to see next. Peace.